Sunny D here from the Pot Smoking Moms. Welcome to interview number 9 of our interview series. Today we're taking it back to our Jane West episode, and she was recently featured on Dr. Phil. Jane West loves smoking cannabis flower every day. She cleverly designs, invents, and manufactures products dedicated to make life better with Jane. Named one of the Badass 50 Women to Watch by InStyle magazine, Jane launched an eponymous lifestyle brand and founded the industry's largest professional female networking organization, Women Grow. We hope you enjoy our interview with Jane West. Here it is.
What got you here? What started you in cannabis?
Well, I've been in the cannabis industry for a decade now. By the end of this year, it'll be 10 years in the space. And the story is really long, so I'll try to make it brief. But I was a 38-year-old mother of 2. My kids at the time were 5 and 3. And I have a master's degree in social work. And previous to getting my master's degree, I worked on refugee programs with the UN in New York. And so I was working a job as a social worker. I love my job when Colorado legalized. And I've always been a cannabis consumer, and I always really produced events for nonprofits. That was kind of what I did, like whether it was a community building event or like an actual educational event. The biggest events I ever did as a social worker, I did events for both of Obama's inaugurations, where we actually like rented museums on the National Mall and had high school students there and present on those mornings. And so that was the job I had when Colorado legalized, and I wanted to make cannabis friendly events. And so I really couldn't find anything out there that was my aesthetic. I was trying to just attend some events to meet people, and it really wasn't anything that I felt comfortable at, in some cases not even safe at. And additionally, I naively believed that social use was like right around the corner. I mean, we're selling millions of dollars in cannabis in the state, and obviously adults need somewhere to go to consume it together. Or there would be tents at concerts soon, and even festivals that celebrate it perhaps. Like, all of that felt very attainable and close. And it's amazing that this far along, none of us really have anything like that, that we can attend, despite now billions of dollars of cannabis being sold in this country. So at the time, like very wide-eyed and idealistic, I put together an event series. So it was just one event a month, and they were at art galleries. Actually, one art gallery owner chose to host it, and I had private chefs and live music, and it was a cannabis-friendly event, and that's what it was billed as. And so it got a lot of press, and in fact, it got so much press that a little part of my story made it onto, and these were just like a 2-hour event. Like, it was a cocktail party I was doing for fun. It was not really business necessarily. It was like my little pet project. And part of my story made it on the 5 o'clock evening news with Brian Williams, after I had only held one event. And as a result, I was asked to resign from my job. Even though I wasn't selling weed or doing anything, like, it was just too close, and my staff had to be drug tested. And so I did not expect that. And it was very disruptive. It's not like what I thought was going to happen. And so, in fact, I had pretty much decided by that point, like, this was really hard what I was trying to do. And isn't it great that I have a regular job? So that really swung me in, but it also put me in the news even more, because people were like, hey, remember that lady we told you about? Because I did make the cover of the Denver Post about this weed event and whatever. Hey, remember that lady we told you about that's doing events? Like, she just got fired from her job, even though she didn't sell it or buy it, or, you know. And so then I partnered with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra, and this kind of goes into a funny story about your podcast too. And the Colorado Symphony Orchestra was really looking to get a new audience, and they have a very innovative CEO. And we decided to turn the summer events into fundraisers for the Colorado Symphony, leading up to an event even at Red Rocks, where the whole symphony orchestra on a Saturday night would be performing at Red Rocks. in an event called On a High Note, sponsored by local cannabis
Nice.
companies. Yeah. So that got a lot of attention. We were on CBS This Morning, and also Nightline. Juju Chang flew out and followed me around for 2 days before the event and was there with the whole film crew at the event.
Wow.
And we had this whole event called On a High Note. And so that was just the first 6 months. But like so many things in cannabis, and because of so many like stereotypes and regulations and authorities, a lot of the story doesn't get better from there. So the mayor of Denver was not having it at all. And so he sent a SWAT team to one of my events after that. And so I ended up with criminal misdemeanor charges and couldn't host any more events. And also the part that ties me into you guys a bit, like I was Googling, pot smoking moms, like getting prepared for this interview and whatnot. And it reminded me of this, like how things have changed in the media because, and this is actually still pretty prevalent, like the negative stereotype of cannabis and the words used and how things are framed and how it's looked at, especially when it comes to women and moms, is so different than really any other group. And my example of that is that like Juju Chang came to cover my Red Rocks event. I'm in like a flowing dress. It's the symphony orchestra on a Saturday night. Like the whole piece was about that, right? So, but when the piece actually came out, this 7-minute piece covering it, the title of the piece, which you can Google on ABC right now, it was on the main page. That's what reminded me of it. Like I Googled pot smoking moms. The title of the piece was called "Pot Smoking Moms Unapologetically Getting High."
I love it. Unapologetically getting high. But it has nothing to.
They were like going for clickbait. Because like,
for real, big time
about
clickbait.
the event, like in one piece, me and my friends are like smoking pot in a kitchen.
Oh my God! Are you the one where they asked about like being high while taking care of your kids, and you were like, "Oh my God!" So many people have tagged me in that video of that interview with you, where you turn around and you go, I wish people would just not ask me that like that. I wish people wouldn't ask moms that question. That's ridiculous.
I don't think my kids should watch me smoke a joint or consume any form of like combustible substances. But you're not opposed to being a little bit high in front of your kids. I am. I'm hoping that people don't have to answer this question anymore because no one gets asked this question about alcohol.
That is me. That's my living room. That's
awesome. It's so funny. I was looking at you and I'm like, man, I know I've seen her on the internet, but like she seems really familiar to me. And that's why you're the famous lady from that interview.
That's big, yep. So yes, we are all unapologetic pot smoking moms trying to reframe the conversation, right?
Like, I felt when you said like, we just want you to stop asking us these questions. Like, what's not even relevant? Like, what are you with? People like compare it to alcohol, and I'm just like, you can't even really compare one with the other. It's not that they have, they don't
definitely
do
not
things.
the same impairment at all.
Yeah,
and people drink around their children all the time.
Yes, celebrate it. There's entire sections of every tourist town I've been to this summer. There is some store that has a whole section about mom and her wine, and like a sippy cup you can buy, and like, no.
But God forbid that we say we want to smoke, or we want to light a J outside for a little bit, or even at a family barbecue, like go around, get away a little distance from the kids, smoke a J. I personally have no trouble. Like, I'm trying to normalize it. I want my child to think that there's nothing wrong with it. So I'm not hiding it. I know a lot of moms are still like where they go to a closet or a garage or whatever. I don't do it next to my child, but my child has seen me do it.
Yes, I'm right there with you. And that's the way it is in my house. And I can tell you now, I mean, one's about to be 16 and the other's 12. And like, they actually don't think it's cool at all. Like they have no interest. They like,
That's what I'm hoping for.
but you know, it's really just, it's normal. It really is. And how you could look at the numbers of the products that have been sold in this country for the past 10 years and not be like, this is normal. This should be, you know, it's just insane. It's why, you know, and that's one of the reasons the pipes that you bought, thank you very much for purchasing my product in Florida at Fluent. They're perfect because, you know, they're what I believe a serving of cannabis is 0.35 grams. If you've got quality cannabis between 20 and 30% THC and you're serving yourself, whether it's in a bowl or a chillum or a joint, because the first joints I ever sold were all also 0.35 grams too. That is a serving. That is what you need. And 1 gram joints are basically 3 times as much as what you need. But yeah, so those chillums are perfect because it's enclosed. The mouthpiece acts as a carb, like capturing the air and chilling it for just a second. You can get what you want because ultimately, you know, women in this country, 1 in 4 women are on anti-anxiety medication and 1 in 4 women are on antidepressant, both of which lower your libido and affect your overall like mood. And cannabis is an option for a lot of those individuals who, by the way, when they're put on those medications, they're told to take it every day. That's an addiction. When you go back in and you say, we're going to need more, they tell you to take twice as much. That's an addiction, right? I think cannabis really helps a lot of women regulate during the week. They need it, but not the next. They don't need it. They don't need it every day. They just need it. They're just on a really hard weekend, you know? And so, yeah, like having that serving size and this measurable amount that you know you can trust is like really what you need to like have. Well, where I was going with that was just with like pills. Like Americans like pills. We consume 80% of the pills that the world consumes. Americans.
Well, the pharmaceutical companies.
Yes. Well, maybe not pill, prescription medications. 80% of
supplements
medications consumed. And it's because they act really fast. And that's what people want, fast acting. And flower consumption, in lighting flower and inhaling it and exhaling it is the fastest way to change your mood, to feel the effects of cannabis, to actually have that like immediate effect versus the, you know, having to digest the THC and have your liver process it through tinctures or edibles. So I just, you know, there were times a decade ago that people were telling me like flower is going to be dead in a few years. Oh, look at this extract. Look at what they're able to do. This is modern cannabis. This is, you know, the packs and the this and the that. And like, I was like,
absolutely not.
No, this lighting flower and inhaling it and exhaling it is unparalleled experience. And we all know that. So we just need more people to.
It's a whole senses thing. We've talked about it before where it's like, you know, your fingers.
Entourage effect, basically, of having all of it, you know, all the cannabinoids, the plant matter, all of it, the entire effect of smoking the cannabis. Like I've tried extracts and stuff, but it's not the same. It's a completely different feeling. And I prefer flower 100%.
It's so variable. It's so inconsistent, you know, like I'm working on a vape line, you know, and I'm not dissing that. There's a lot of people that love it for a lot of reasons. But it still just isn't quite comparable.
Yeah, the vape is what you use as for convenience, and then you get home and you have your ritual with your flower. I mean, that's how I look at it too.
Yes, the ritual.
When was the first time you used cannabis? You smoked cannabis?
I didn't I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I worked at a summer camp in northern Wisconsin, and that was the first time I consumed it. Not when there were campers there, but the people I met there were more tapped into it, and it was in like an idyllic, trusted, lovely, grassy like summer night. So you know, all of my connotations with cannabis have always been like very positive, but I'm also like a white girl from the suburbs, and I went to Madison, like a really like white undergrad, and so I didn't have any issues with the law. Until later, but like I didn't have a lot of fear or negative connotations around consuming it or possessing it. I always had like bongs at my apartment and my rental places, and in my dorm, and so like it was just a very overall welcoming, positive, not shameful, not fearful, like upbringing in relation to cannabis. My dad consumes a lot. He still consumes a lot. He's like still kicking at like 75, and so that it was growing up in high school. I was 16 years old.
Cool. And so you never had a negative experience, because some people do like have a negative, or they use it, they don't how the first time you don't feel it, and then they're like, this is nothing, and they don't,
or their parents are telling them that's something not to do, or like.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people in my world had that going on, in terms of like, if you were caught with it, it meant it defined you. If it was, Tommy, I found weed, and and it's like that, like suddenly totally redefines you as a person. You don't want other parents hearing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially in the 80s, because like I was a teenager in the 80s, and that's like, that was the Nancy Reagan, everything, like the hardest drug laws.
Yeah, there.
Mandatory minimums. No one give it like drug cannabis as a Schedule I drug. It's insane. It's medicinal. So yeah, definitely. I even think, we still don't even really realize on a full scale how much we've been like raised to believe how negative it is. Especially, I'm hopeful, and I love working with young people. That's what I always did before. And I'm hopeful because this next gen is like so open-minded, and we have like psychedelics and mushrooms. I'm currently in the final steps of my mushroom line. I own the Jane West brand name in the nutritional supplement category. I'm like prepared to do this, and they just have such a more open mind to these things, and like beyond just Nancy Reagan's DARE program and the fried egg in the pan, like your brain on drugs, like cops started in the 80s and 90s, and that was basically like watching the war on drugs on a Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, cop.
I was like, you chase the kid down the thing, jump the fence, do the alley, and stick the dogs on him, and you found like a tiny bag of weed, and we were all like, oh, that figured it out. Like, it's like terrible. It's like the longest running show in America. It's like,
God,
oh my God. Bad boys. What you gonna do?
What you gonna do? You got a bag of weed and you're screwed.
Didn't they show that show on like Sunday evenings?
Yes,
like,
I think it was Friday nights.
Oh, Friday nights.
It was prime time.
It was
only had like 4 channels.
television.
Yeah, it's so wild to think that people like
that was like the first reality show, right?
It was the first reality show. I totally agree. And the franchise, because it was like Miami.
That's where we are. We're in Miami.
Yeah. LA. What's different? Like, so crazy.
Oh my God,
I think we don't realize how much all of that plays into.
Yeah, into the narrative, into all the narratives they continue to.
We grew up with this, exactly, the War on Drugs campaign, the DARE stuff, curriculum in school. We were told all the time that it's just the wrong thing. And there's still that curriculum going on. So like, I'm waiting till my son gets that day in class where he's told that, I was like, wait, I think that's what my mom's doing. I know. Yeah. Is that cannabis, what they're calling marijuana?
Yeah. Exactly.
So that we had to fight with that, and tell them, yeah, you're gonna probably hear these things in school, but this is the truth about it. It's a medicine. It's for adults. But I want to know more about this shroom line that you just mentioned. Can you tell us a little bit about your mushroom line?
I'm concerned about what I'm seeing happen in the psychedelic sector. I just attended like I had a big event in my home actually for this large psychedelic conference that happened in Colorado this past June. And, there are concerning things already happening, that there's like 2 corporations, and you've got to have all the licensing, and you've got to have someone sit, like initial information coming out is that like these sessions are going to be in the thousands of dollars. And, it's just, it's removing people from access to a plant medicine. And I'm a fan of LSD and other forms of psychedelics as well. But mushrooms are unique, and in my mind, in a category with cannabis, because it is a simple plant versus all the other different types of therapeutics that are being tested right now, MDMA, LSD, ayahuasca. When it comes to cannabis and mushrooms, these are two products that my entire life, and I'm like 47 now, like everything I've consumed was something someone just grew, simple, like a plant. And the mushrooms grown easily out of a mushroom spore pod. Nothing more was needed. Nothing, I didn't need a company. I didn't need like some special formulation, which has been one of the things I'm like kind of grappling with is like, I want people to just have access to it. So how do I become part of that system, which is not what is being put in place nationwide? Just, hey, grow your own, you know, because there's nothing to that in terms of regulation, taxation, and capitalism. And so it has been like a kind of a journey for me. What I want to be able to do, I have though been, everything I do in cannabis is in day and night. And the purpose of that is because I'm trying to educate people about the guidelines around sativa and indica without actually using those words ever. Like we try not to use those words as a brand ever because they don't mean anything. There's no way that you can just say something is what it is. There's no terpene profile that tells you whether or not something is or is not something. It's just kind of known. And so I do everything. I sell all my cannabis in day or night and then help guide people towards what they want. And that's the same thing I want to do with mushrooms. So I've been testing out these different adaptogenic mushrooms. So I think the main psychedelic mushroom in my line will probably be golden teacher or penis envy. But then what I want to do is have an adaptogenic blend that's part of the product as well. For day, we would be using like lion's mane and ginkgo, maybe some cinnamon. For night, we'd be using more like nettle leaf and reishi and like more like, and just kind of help guide that. And as I've been making these different mixes and utilizing the ones that are more calming and more stimulating, it definitely works, and it definitely like frames your experience. But I think it also like frames your own, because these are psychedelic drugs. They're working on your psyche, and what you're thinking about and what you want to achieve out of it when you take it is definitely a component of it. So I do think giving people some guidance and then adding adaptogenic mushrooms that enhance that experience of what they're looking for, either more mellow or more invigorating, and then letting them go on that experience and feeling more guided and in control is great. I'd love to be able to sell the product, but most of the people I know that are growing their own mushrooms, in order to serve it to themselves in a unified format, they create their own capsules. They're simple capsules you can buy online and fill with dried mushrooms in a very organized manner with fairly consistent experience. I'd love to be able to sell these blends to individuals so they can just make it themselves. Like, there's some adaptogenic blends that you can take with these as well. So that's where I'm at right now with the line. And I'm watching closely the way the regulations are going to place nationwide. So far, there's nothing that's real promising because they're on top of people should have access to these products in readily available at a reasonable price, especially when, if you've ever grown mushrooms, when you start growing them, they just keep growing. Like people I know that are doing it successfully are like, I think I had too many. I think I'm gonna get rich. It won't stop growing. I have so many. Take them. Like, and so like what, like it shouldn't be something that's under so much lock and key. And so yeah, I would love to be able to sell people spores and everything they need to do it. But nothing like that quite exists just yet. And so I hope that people are watching. It's just like, there's no journalists covering this stuff really well. So many of the media coverage of it is basically financial reports of publicly traded companies covering this, and and we really need people educating Americans that they should be fighting for their right to grow cannabis and psychedelic mushrooms on their own without any concern for, legal action, and have the ability to alter their own consciousness with the plants they grow in their house.
Right.
And so, so I'm working on trying to just make it accessible and welcoming.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's the tip of the iceberg with the mushrooms. I feel like there's still a lot of moves to make with cannabis and research and everything. And now everybody's like talking about, I mean, whatever, we called it Molly, but MDMA. Now everyone's like, oh,
MDMA, we call it Molly.
MDMA. We're like, you guys used to talk shit about us for taking that and going dancing and having a good time.
Right.
Now everybody's using it for therapy.
Everybody's like, oh, it's therapeutic. Well, and the exciting thing about that too is that, and that's where I understand the need for a regulated environment, because what we were taking that was Molly, and this ties into what I said earlier about
was not
Americans.
It's not pure MDMA.
Yeah, Americans wanting immediate effect. They want to be like, oh, this is good. Oh, I like, it's Molly is generally MDMA mixed with an amphetamine. And like, that's why you're up all night. And that's why that's why you feel it right away. Because if you're taking pure MDMA, you're taking a smaller amount than the pressed pills that are usually on the illicit market that could also be extremely dangerous. And you're having a different experience, because really these MDMA assisted therapies don't actually start engaging until about 45 minutes in, if you're really doing it the right way. And so that's another component of like educating people, like, okay, let's do this. Like, let's have a pure experience, which so many people, haven't, but they got a taste of it. And it's absolutely something that is like a mood lifting drug that has long-standing effects. The clinical trials that have been put in place with PTSD vets that are now, we're talking FDA approved. Like, that's what's happening as we speak. The psychedelic conference here was training the trainer on these procedures and therapy sessions. The efficacy rate coming out of them is like 60%. And that's just not what any prescription drug is really doing. Very few prescription drugs have such an efficacy rate where the customer, after 1 or 2 experiences, is saying that it has permanently changed their outlook. So it's really exciting. I was going to show you, this is this is as far as we've gotten. We so
those are the capsules of the blend you were talking about, the day and night.
We're gonna call them caps, kind of like, mushroom caps, like a little play on that. And then, just like a simple little pill. And then we have like our little recipe list, but that's where we're at right now with that.
I like your style is so minimalistic, but it's so like elegant. I'm looking at all of your pieces behind you, and I love that piece. Do you have like a favorite piece of yours that you have?
That's my new thing. So my new thing is my most exciting thing. My first glassware line was great for the brand and really exciting, but it was not the right deal with the right company. And so my goal with my second glassware line was to just make something truly different, that was completely different than what I made the first time. And that also was designs that I owned 100%. And so just last week in Las Vegas, I picked up the final samples. I don't know any fresh. Of my 20s collection glassware, which we're in the 20s. This is our 2020s.
Yeah.
But it's also like inspired by a Depression era glassware of the 1920s. So.
Ooh.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love it.
Things we have around our house right now, which most bongs, paraphernalia-based products, like they don't fit. It's not even so much that like it's a bong, it's that it doesn't fit the aesthetic of the rest of the things you own. But this like truly does. It has a really big, flat, wide base too, like for like not tipping, not spilling.
Yeah.
And it has a removable bowl and a removable down stem.
Nice.
So that so you can clean it really well, because you want to be able to keep your stuff clean. That's one of the biggest. Water filtration for cannabis flower is truly the best. It cools the air. It removes particulate matter. It's like everything you're looking for. But at the same time, most of the closed loop systems for water pipes they encourage the growth of grime and mildew. You can't get in there and actually clean it out, right? And so it was really important to me to have a piece that was easily cleanable, and also something that is like more servable. Like, you know how bongs, you have to kind of turn them at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
For you, because I'm gonna hold it and smoke it and do it and then pull it. So these are also good for like a lounge environment. If God forbid someday we get to finally consume cannabis in a lounge setting.
I know.
Right? So
Vegas is trying now.
yeah, they are. No, I was at one. It was lovely. And so this is also like,
that is so cute. I love that. And you know what? You are so right about the grime and the bacteria. I was hitting one bond for a while, and I mean, even though I cleaned it regularly, I felt like it was giving me more phlegm, and I had to like get rid of it, and it changed. Like my lungs thanked me for it because it was really not good.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, we're inhaling this product, you know, you have to make sure it's like clean and good. This is the hand pipe that goes with the line.
Oh, look at that color. That color is beautiful.
I'm glad you like it.
So cute.
Thank you. And then I made an ashtray. The ashtray is only $30 to customers. And it's specifically designed to have a couple different components. First of all, your lighter won't fall into it. Nice. And then it's also made to basically perfectly fit a pre-roll, the size pre-rolls that are in the market. So, and there's like a little lip on it to like keep it in place. Also, the pre-roll should be burning at a horizontal so it doesn't like cone. So yeah, this is my like pre-roll ashtray that goes with the set.
I love it.
Cute.
Thank you.
I love how you think of all the little details, and then design-wise, it's just very beautiful.
Thank you. I could totally just like walk through the container store usually, but for weed. But for weed. Like, over and over again, you know?
I could put my weed in it.
Mm-hmm. You could put your weed in it. How do you get inspired to make these pieces? I mean, obviously weed, it helps.
Yeah, well, it goes back to the events. Like, I wanted a bong bar at the very beginning, like that very first event that was on all the news channels. Like, I wanted a bong bar.
So glorious.
And I just like wanted it to be 5 bongs that were the same bong that looked amazing. And instead, all there was basically bongs.
Like beaker bongs.
I'm joking you. And, you know, they're bongs that look like this.
Yeah, beaker bongs.
Which like, this isn't in your lung shot. This isn't this is crazy. Or what I did end up with was more like, I found this super fashionable little one.
Yeah, that's cute.
But there were only 2. Like, because they're handmade and they're, you know, so you're either going with like giant, this ridiculousness, or, you know, something that's so handcrafted, which like, I love handcrafted glass. But America,
Jane, though, to be honest, though, like I have both of those. I have like the Daisy one, and then
so do I.
Yeah, I think that's a quintessential pot smoking mom devices. You got your Mav beaker, and then you got your cute little dainty
part of our arsenal.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you see these like closed loop systems, like this one. There's no way to get in there. You can't get in there to clean it all, you know? And so you've got to figure out a way to make it clean, replicable, and the glass has to be strong enough to be able to, you know, be...
I break my bond. I break all my pieces. I don't know how I do it. I just do it.
You know, here's a little pro tip, because I'm working on a cleaning work.
Please share.
I love these silicone bags for cleaning my glassware, because they're so thick. And
that's like so bendy?
This is like a silicone little bag with a steel top.
Oh.
So if you would take your glassware and put it inside while you're cleaning it, like to do the soaking process, it's just very the silicone is thick and
protecting it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
While you shake it around in there.
Exactly. Because most people are like, and then they hit it on something, you know?
Yeah, I've done that.
But there's a lot of silicone cleaning products out there that are really great for cleaning your glassware safely. Oh, like that baby bottle drying thing that kind of looks like grass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's like
yeah,
the
the
perfect
bone.
thing to do with your glassware, because it like holds it and cradles it. It won't make it dirty.
Reported about farmers market
The farmers
and
markets
how
in New York
amazing
that they're
it
gonna
would
be.
be the farmers markets for people to be able to go
Oh,
and
yeah,
sell
that's
what
just-
they've grown, their own stuff.
Okay, so I do sell cannabis products in 10 states, and one of the reasons I understand how unfair, unjust, like the way this has gone, the people that own the American cannabis industry, it's so it should be illegal the way cannabis legalization has happened. But in some states it's 100% publicly traded company or rich white dudes that own the whole thing, like 100%. There's no room for anyone. They only gave out 18 licenses. They're locked up forever. Or in Virginia, there's only like 6. There's a really limited amount. There was a limited amount in New York. I'm getting to the point, which is I'm so hopeful after finding a true female-owned business in New York that is also like it's a farm where they do educational programming all the time. And she also was able to get, the hemp license that then could turn into the cannabis license. And they outdoor grew like 27% flower. And and yeah, so because of all the bottlenecks in place in New York for getting a dispensary, they're allowing you to just go to the farm, like, because they weren't sure how else to do it. You can't really transport it. So she is hosting events starting at the end of August, all weekend long, where you go to this farm, and that is where you go to buy your weed. And so it's
Amazing.
like, it's an exciting like loophole that I'm sure will get crushed, especially if it works.
Oh my God! But that
it was kind of like a Band-Aid for now, and they're probably going to take it away. But I hope they don't, because that's amazing. That's the kind of access we need to be able to have.
And the way we buy anything else, like
straight from source, farm to table, farm to pipe.
Yeah, plus how nice it would be for you to just even meet up with people and bring bring your own stash, and everybody switches. I have a friend out in Canada that tells me how she and her friends get together and they each bring each other part of their grow, and they all share with each other. And
because we all want diversity. That's something that I think a lot of non-cannabis consumers don't understand is I want variety. Like in my dream world, it's available online and local people have their own businesses, and I can be like, oh, this just came up in, the Pacific Northwest. Oh, look at what they're growing down in Puerto Rico. Oh, I want to get, you're just ordering it online, these different harvests that come through.
Cannabis eBay.
And I love what you said about this woman-owned farm that's outdoor grown as cannabis should be grown, like outside instead of under artificial lighting and stuff. I mean, obviously indoor grow has always been great, but like the way weed's supposed to be grown is out in nature.
I totally agree. I completely agree. And I think that like it's a way more well-rounded experience when you have cannabis that was grown with like the full ultraviolet light of the sun. It's just different. And I get the indoor thing, but like a lot of the push toward indoor and the like attitude that like it's the only way to go has a lot to do with the OG groups who had to do it in cement blocks because it was illegal, and this was, had to be indoor. And so I get it, and there's a lot of amazing techniques that you can do when you can control the light and all the other aspects, but the sun does a great job. And I really have found that like the sun-grown flower, like that's the stuff that I would smoke maybe a whole gram joint of, because it's just like well-rounded.
God, what do they sell down here? I don't think anything survives in the conditions out here. I don't think anything.
No. Everything in here is indoor. Everything here is indoor.
No.
Yeah, everything here is indoor. That's why I
You-
wish I could like compare.
They could do outdoor here, but I don't think it's allowed.
It's not allowed, and it would be very hard, and it would be like fair, like, and this is weird. It's like this is the same way it works with like everything grown for alcohol. Like there's a terroir, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but it's like the land and the atmosphere that makes the grapes. Yeah, the Pacific Northwest is amazing. My initial partners in British Columbia, Tantalus Labs, created Sun Lab, which was completely off the grid greenhouse, and their stuff was fire, and it was just like rainwater fed. And so yeah, you do have to have the right environment. But hey, this is why we need to legalize everything, because I think the environments in Florida are great for some of the medicinal psychedelic plants that thrive along the equator.
Yeah,
Where
someone
the
growing in my
tropical
ceiling
climates.
actually recently.
Somebody, what'd you say?
No, I had a leak in my ceiling, and it was so
Mushrooms
bad
were growing
that
out of it.
mushrooms were growing, so I was joking about how
That's exactly
I
what
was
I
just
mean. Yes. 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 Natural. All natural.
They're
That is
gone
so
now, thankfully. I feel like, I just pictures. Have you seen those videos of how the mushrooms, they communicate with one another with the spores and stuff?
Uh-huh.
cool.
They're
Yeah,
all
I could just
connected.
imagine. Yeah, I know they all talk to one another. It's crazy.
Yes. There's like clouds of the spores, and they do the thing and the stuff, and
Yeah, I've seen so many different kinds. I mean, like, not consumable, obviously, but like we do have like such a humid
yes,
terrain that
thriving.
I've seen so many different kinds, even just in my backyard, different mushrooms, really wild looking ones.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a good concept to like after you're done with your bracket project.
We should start growing shrooms.
What you should
I
definitely
would
do
love
that.
that.
You should definitely do
I
that.
would love that.
But you should let's try to figure out which upcoming psychedelic plant-based medicine thrives in like 80% humidity and high temperatures.
Which
Yeah,
would
man.
thrive best here in Florida.
Yeah.
Even though
And
lately
the bugs
it's been in
here
the 90s.
too.
It's
Awful. It's so
It's
hot.
awful here.
And
Well, I don't know how you guys do it. We too come to Colorado because it's like we're a mile high, and so it's very arid.
oh, it's so beautiful. It's even like,
love it there.
October is my favorite time to go because it's kind of cool still. It's like we don't see the leaves change here. That's not a thing here.
Yeah, no, you're gonna.
They're either dead or they're alive. It's no in between here. So
We hope you enjoyed our interview with Jane West. Please follow her at Better with Jane on Instagram and visit her website, janewest.com.
There you can see all the beautiful pieces that she's designed. I love how she really takes the time in her designs to consider everything about the experience when you're using a product like that.
Yeah, and everything. I love her designs are very
clean.
They're very clean.
Pleasing.
Yeah, and they're very classy and elegant. And yeah, we love her products. Hopefully we can link up with her out in Colorado in October.
I really hope so. That would be awesome.
And when we were talking to her, I couldn't believe that when we were on TikTok, there was that video that she was talking about.
Oh, the pot smoking moms unapologetically getting high or something like
right,
that?
Pot smoking moms unapologetically getting high. We'll drop the video. Damn.
You probably don't expect the nice mom next door to be getting high, but in certain parts of the country, it's now not only legal, it's big business. The weed-friendly entrepreneurs you're about to meet choose marijuana, not Merlot, to relax. So are they the coolest parents on the planet, or is their habit putting their kids at risk?
Here's a pen. Can you guys work on this together, please?
By day, she's a busy mom chasing her two sons.
And take turns, okay?
But by night, this is how Jane West likes to let loose.
Let's do it.
Lighting up a joint of artisanal marijuana.
To Wisconsin.
That's right. Like Jane, a 38-year-old entrepreneur, these young moms are unapologetic about getting high.
I guess the question is, if you get so high that you can't respond to your kid, or you overdose on a brownie, and so then you miss some cue with your kid. I mean, I wouldn't want my babysitter smoking pot and watching my kids.
And I wouldn't want her drinking wine and watching my kids either. And I really think that once we start to understand that this substance is no more dangerous than alcohol, consumers of cannabis shouldn't be criticized any more than consumers of alcohol.
Forget glasses of wine. This is now Mommy's little helper. In the 9 months since pot became legal here in Denver, Colorado, moms like Jane have been navigating uncharted territory.
Here's a pen.
It's not against the law to get high, but that doesn't mean taking a toke is socially acceptable. In fact, some are adamant that pot and parenthood simply don't mix.
How would you feel if your kids started smoking pot?
The same way I would feel if they started drinking alcohol. Like, we need to talk about substance use. They need to be responsible. And I truly hope that they don't start using substances until they're adults.
Jane keeps her pot stash locked up tight, far from her kids' reach.
So I always keep it in my office closet. It's in this container.
Jane's well aware of the science that says cannabis can harm developing brains. So she says she would never smoke marijuana anywhere near her children. But she doesn't draw a firm line about being high in front of them.
I don't think my kids should watch me smoke a joint or consume any form of combustible substances.
But you're not opposed to being a little bit high in front of your kids?
I am... I'm hoping that people don't have to answer this question anymore, because no one gets asked this question about alcohol.
Despite the controversy, Jane is making it her mission to bring pot out of the shadows and into the spotlight.
If other people were willing to talk about it instead of say, oh my God, I was so drunk last night, be this comfortable saying, oh my gosh, I was so stoned last night, then more people would be talking about it just as openly.
In fact, Jane's actually leading the charge to turn pot posh. She's not only convinced this is the beginning of the end of pot prohibition nationwide, she wants to spread the word as the founder of Edible Events, a company that's found a niche throwing elegant, upscale, weed-friendly parties.
It's almost as if pot use is coming out of the closet.
And I'd like it to come out of the closet in a dress and heels and go out on a Friday night.
But working in this brand new marijuana industry presents some unique challenges for Jane.
Here you go, dude.
When it comes to her 4- and 6-year-old sons.
They said it on NPR the other day. They said a story about marijuana. And Fisher said, marijuana? That's where my mom works.
Jane is not alone when it comes to moms who get high. And as Brittany Driver discovered, the risk comes with higher stakes than just being judged on the playground.
Are you an aunt?
Brittany gets high regularly.
Oh, Elliot.
And she's mom to a 2-year-old boy. She's also a local columnist who wrote recently about the very real risk that Child Protective Services can take your kids away if they think you're an irresponsible pot smoker.
When you called CPS, what you discovered was that even though it's legal, if a parent smokes pot, even though it's legal, they could take your kids.
Mm-hmm. Based on just the fact that it's even in my home, which is crazy.
Colorado Child Protective Services tells us that a parent's marijuana use is held to the same standard as alcohol or prescription pills. But critics believe parents who smoke pot are putting their kids at risk, an accusation these moms believe is based on old stereotypes.
A good majority of people in this country think that it's not right for a mom to smoke pot.
Right. Even people, I have even gotten backlash from people who identify as stoners, saying that moms should not partake.
Right.
I think a lot of that is based on bad experiences that people have had with people growing up. And that's not how it is. Everybody's different.
But Dr. Margaret Haney of the Marijuana Research Lab at Columbia University has been studying the effects of pot for 20 years. She says the fact that people react differently is precisely the problem.
Can a parent efficiently parent while high?
Oh, that's really hard to say because it depends on how tolerant you are, how much you've smoked. Heavy smokers can operate fairly well while they're high because they become tolerant to all the disruptive effects. But again, you really want to think through what you're your kids are witnessing and how your behavior might be changing after you smoke.
Of course, recreational pot use is still against the law in nearly all of the country. The only exceptions, Washington and Colorado. Here in Denver, legalization has turned the city into a mecca for a new type of drag queen.
$85 that's for a quarter pound?
Jane is something of a pot aficionado. She says different varietals help her to be creative and focused, or to relax and sleep.
It's that busy mind when you're laying in bed at night and you're thinking about, oh, I think tomorrow's Wacky Water Tuesday. Did I pack a swimsuit and did I do this? And oh my gosh, I leave the keys in the thing and whatnot.
You and I are having the same conversation to ourselves at night.
This just kind of turns that down. Just
turns the volume down.
Yes.
Jane brought me to the farm, her favorite dispensary, for a crash course in cannabis.
Oh, it kind of has a skunky smell too.
Here she spends about $40 every 2 weeks, loading up on locally grown organic weed.
But you're like the upscale user. You're the upscale mom user.
I mean, I am who I am, but that's, yes, absolutely.
That's kind of the demo breakdown.
Yes.
Whether or not you think pot should be legal, even critics believe it's only a matter of time before other states legalize pot as well. Economists predict within 5 years, the business of legal marijuana will exceed $10 billion. Which is why Jane founded a ladies' networking group called Women Grow to encourage others to get in on the ground floor.
The end of prohibition is inevitable in this country. There is so much potential for this industry, and I am very concerned that outdated, uneducated stereotypes about cannabis users is going to prevent women from entering this market at exactly the time that they should. Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm just checking in. What are you guys giving away here tonight?
In fact, Jane is busy preparing for the splashiest, highest profile event of her career, a fundraiser for the Colorado Symphony Orchestra here at the upscale concert venue known as Red Rocks.
This has been like 5 months in the making, and there's over 4,000 tickets sold, and the seats are all filling up, and this performance will start in 30 minutes, and I couldn't be more excited. I can't believe it's all really happening.
Classical music brought to you by Weed.
Without further ado, we'd like to thank Bang Corporation, National Cannabis Industry Association, Jane West and Edible Events.
The air is thick with the smell of pot. Nothing new at a concert, yet no one is smoking openly, because it's still illegal, even in Colorado, to light up in public.
But I have to whisper, because the acoustics are so amazing. But there's over 4,000 people. So awesome. And the weather's amazing.
Jane's hoping that what's happening here will help make smoking dope seem elegant, even refined, and eventually change the tune of the debate.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching the show. We appreciate you, and we want to give a special shout out to, you guessed it, our patrons.
Yes, Destiny, thank you.
Lauren,
Christy,
Denise,
Peaches,
Meredith,
Natalie,
Angelina,
Jenny,
Catherine,
Jay,
Jesse,
Diane,
Gabby,
and Leslie.
Thank you guys. And you
We're
too.
so tired.
I know, we're like winding down at the end of the show. We have a lot has happened this last couple of days. Hey, you too can have your name read by us and enjoy all the fun. Become a patron for early access to episodes, additional content, Discord sessions, vacations, all kinds of stuff. Come on over to the smoky side.
Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, share our content. Check out our website, potsmokingmoms.com, and we'll see you next week. Love you. Bye.
Hasta la vista.